Hey everybody, Eric Dorward here at the Spartan Rocketry Club, and I am in the finishing stages with the Pro Series 2 Estes Doorknob model. So far, I have filled in the fins as best as I could with wood fill. I sealed it, I primed it with spray paint, and I put a glossy coat of white on it right now, too, as a matter of fact, coats. Now it's time to deal with the color part. This is the part of the build that I like the least because partially I'm not super good at it. I mean, my stuff looks decent usually, but it's not like competition grade and it's certainly not museum quality work. Anyway, so given that this is a scale model, I'm going to do my best to reproduce the rocket as is shown in the diagram here. And the diagram is actually pretty detailed for an Estes model. These ones frequently, well, first of all, it's black and white, which stinks, but what are you going to do? There's at least art on the front of the box, but this is specific enough. I only need three colors. It's either black, white, or road cone orange. Oh, by the way, there is an option apparently for this where you could do a sport look, which is fun, probably easier. It's just blue and white. I did look into getting these decals, but I don't think I'm pretty sure that offer is very expired at this point because it didn't seem to work for me. But this kit is like several years old too, so I guess the limited time offer has met its limit. Anyway, so there are a couple things worth pointing out. So two of the fins are going to be black. But if you notice, these are 90-degree rotations, right? If they were all black, then... Oh wait, no. I guess, what, we got one black fin? Yeah, because this is 180 degrees. It's been rotated around the whole way. So I need one fin that's going to be painted black. The other ones are white. That makes my life easier. Yeah, that's good, because I was a little concerned that there were going to have to be two, and they were only going to be one-sided. But that's great. That's easy enough. Then this middle section and the nose cone, they're going to be orange and white in 180-degree increments. This is going to be tricky. It's not going to be super easy to do this. It would be way easier to do this if this transition between that section and this section was right at the nose cone, but it's not. It's farther down. So that's kind of a bummer. This is going to be a multiple step process. It's going to take a bunch of painting and a bunch of masking. So let's get to it then. Enough talk. I'm going to use two kinds of masking tape. I've got blue painter's tape. This is Sharp Line. It's just pretty good masking tape. And then I've got Ultra Sharp Line, and this is like more like a fabric-y, plasticky duct tape, and that's not duct tape, but it's more along the lines of that. This stuff gives you really nice lines. You can't tear it though, at least I can't. It doesn't tear nicely. This tears nicely, so I need scissors for that. I am going to use this in this one, the Sharp Lines, in one place only, and that is I'm going to tape right around where the fin ends, or begins as you look at it, so right in here. So I'm going to kind of eyeball this, estimate how much tape I'll need, and I'm going to do my best to get this in a nice straight line using the very root of the fin as my guidepost, and that wasn't very straight. So getting this to be perfectly straight, the best way I know to do it is to use the fin as like an anchor point, like this. Because ideally all the tips, right, are going to be in the same spot. So if the tape is going right past them, it should be pretty straight. It's not quite in this case. It was close, but you know, it wasn't bad. I'm going to have to retry this here. That was actually worse. So do your best. You know, it's better to try this a few times. I need to take us a couple stabs at it, because ultimately, like this, you don't get a second try after you start painting it, especially if you do a lousy job of putting the tape on in the first place. Because what happens if you don't do a particularly good job with the tape, you end up getting glue that seeps in under things, and we really, really don't want that. Alright, so I'm using this because the whole bottom section where the fins are is going to be white, except for the one fin that is going to be black. So I'm going to use this to divide off. Now, right here, the section that has the orange and white sections, this is supposed to start at 5 inches, and I know that this is not, where I have this tape, is not going to be 5 inches from the bottom. I know it's going to be farther, and it's like 5.5. Honestly, I can live with that. Again, I'm not going to produce a museum quality piece here, and that's fine. I know my limitations. I just want a nice, pretty good looking piece here. I said this is the only place that I'm going to use the sharp lines rather than the ultra sharp, and part of it is because I wanted to minimize this. This tape is obviously thinner than this. This would make it more like 6 inches, and that would be a bigger error that I'm adding in. The other thing too is that this part right here, well actually this part up here, I would like this line to be sharp, but if it's a little wonky, there's actually going to be a decal covering up the interface. So that allows me some error. Same deal with up here. That's a different animal entirely though. Anyway, I'm going to pick a fin. I don't think it really matters which one, at least it doesn't to me. Well, I mean, I guess it kind of does. The launch lug is not in line with the black fin. In fact, the black fin is opposite to the launch lug. I'm having not a launch lug, but buttons, so I guess this fin ought to be the black one. This one should be the black one, but I don't think it truly matters. I'm going to get myself some of my ultra sharp tape, and I am going to, I gotta use scissors, I'm going to cover up this seam right here. It's a little far, so I'm going to wrap it over the back, and I'm going to repeat the process on the underside of it. Do my best to get the tape as far into that into this seam as possible, because I don't want any of the black seeping out. So I think this is probably good enough to protect this. I'm going to paint this part black before I do anything else. I'm not going to paint the orange. I'm just going to deal with this black part first because it's a simple paint. But I'm going to cover this part and this part and this part by wrapping some computer paper around it. So I'm going to do a number like this and tape it down. Same deal with these fins over here. Although, now that I'm saying it, I think I'm going to put another piece of this tape in this seam here just to make it easy, to be extra safe. So let's do that now. This one isn't as important because it's going to get painted on, that's for sure, but I don't really need this seam to be as, as exacting as I needed this seam to be. Okay. Same thing on this side. That's a little too far. So I'm going to just leave this tape on for the duration of the process, until everything's done, black and orange. So I don't want it to go past that other tape that I had set up. Alright, so this pin's going to be black. It's isolated pretty well. Should be pretty good. Alright, the next thing that I need to do is, referring back to my image here, I need to figure out where this interface is going to be. And I mean, you can add things up here. They've told you 3/4, 3/4, and 19/30 seconds. So, you know what? Metric. Metric would probably be better. I've got 19 millimeters, 19 millimeters, and 15 millimeters. But I also need to know the thickness of these chrome strips. So I do need to fish them out. They're around here somewhere. There we are. Yeah, so together they are they are what, 7/8 of an inch? Actually a little bit more than that. Alright, well, let's just, my goodness, this is so irritating with math. Alright, so 7/8 of an inch, let's say that's what? They're 2.5-ish centimeters in a millimeter, so 25 centimeters. Let's say it's like 22. So 22 and 19 is 30 exactly, and so 45 millimeters. Okay, 45 millimeters is about what? 2.5 inches. Or you could add it up the other way. 3/4 and 3/4 is 1.5. 19/30 seconds. Yeah, that one's just mean. I don't know why somebody felt the need to do that, but I mean, 16/30 seconds is half an inch, so it's a bit more than that. So 2 inches, and then this makes 3, I guess. Yeah, so we'll go with that. 65, I think, centimeters or millimeters, I said. So it should be, I don't know, we'll just eyeball it. And you know, if I have to not follow this precisely, we can deal with that. So the next thing I'm going to do, if I hadn't made that clear enough, is I'm going to put ultraline tape around here, and I'm going to kind of mask off this section into quarters next. So let's break this stuff out. That's probably enough. If it's not, I will add more. Okay, so I said approximately 3 inches. So we'll just say like right around here. Now I want to do, geez, tape. I want to go like this. So I want it to be, the tape to be interior. And yeah, that's probably pretty good. At 19/30 seconds, just my commitment to the accuracy here is really taking a hit when I have to measure 19/30 seconds of an inch. However, I will point out I did a pretty good job lining the tape up here. So go me. I'm actually going to snip this off. I do not need huge overlap. I'll probably find some place where I could use that excess tape. Alright, so I'm not going to worry. I'm going to take the nose cone off actually for the time being. We will get back to that at some point. Alright, anyway, now we need to figure out where to divide this off, because I need to divide it into quarters. Now, you certainly could use your knowledge of the circumference of a circle to figure out precisely how far you need to go in order to divide this into quarters. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to break out a fabric measuring tape, which I got to go get quickly. There we are. Yeah, that's not something that usually lives on my workbench here. And of course, you know, a flexible ruler is really necessary when you're doing anything that involves circles. So I'm just going to measure around right to the overlap point and it's about it's almost exactly 9.5. So yeah, that's pretty good. Evidently this is a 3-inch diameter too, because it's about 3 times pi in diameter, or in circumference rather. So I need to divide that by 4. 10 divided by 4 is 2.5, and I have an extra, what, 1/8 of an inch I need to shave off that. So I'm going to mark off at 2 3/8 as I go around. And I'm going to draw this right, got a pencil here, I'm going to draw this right on my tape, which hopefully I will be able to see. And that's pretty good, I guess. So 2 and, what did I say? I'm taking an 1/8 off. Yeah, okay. So the next one ought to be 2/8 short of 5, so that's 1/4 off. And then the next one ought to be 3/8 before 7.5. 2, 3. And that ought to bring us around back to, I started this as the seam. Okay. Now that that's done, all I need to do is run the tape just, well, to mark this into quarters. Now I'm going to put the tape so that, should be about right. Alright, so I'm going to run it just down like this, and this is going to be masking off. There we go. So this is going to be masking off. This part here is going to be white. And this is going to be the edge for one of the orange parts. Now if you really wanted to do this well, you could have also measured around this side and made sure the lines connect. But getting this to be a straight line is not generally something I found to be particularly difficult. So, again, I'm not trying to produce a showpiece here. I just want it to look pretty good before it gets, dinged up through flying. Anyway, so the second one here, I'm going to use this mark that I made. This is, again, I'm masking off the white part. Move it up a little bit. So again, I'm not just putting them down, at the mark. I need to make sure that I'm masking off part of the mark. And that I need to actually fold this over on itself. This is the black fin, the fin that will be black. So I can't have any tape on that. Alright, so this is one of my white sections, and now I should have 2 more pieces of tape to finish masking off the other white section. And that should be ready for the first 2 parts of painting. The other part, the nose cone part, I have not even begun the process of doing just quite yet, because really it's going to have to happen in separate sections just because of how convoluted this whole thing is going to end up being. Alright, last little bit. Again, this time I'm going on this side of the line. That's not straight. That's better. Yeah, that's much better. Again, this is a little too long, so I'm going to fold this back in under itself. Make sure that you smooth out all these points where you have the tape. Like there's a gap paint could definitely get in through there. They need to be smooth, otherwise you've defeated the entire purpose of having the tape to begin with. Any little bubbles, air gaps, paint will find a way in. That's what it does. Alright, I kind of want to make sure that these are the same size before I get any farther along here. If they're not, that would be annoying. But I've got, yep, just shy of 2.5 inches. It's about 2 3/8 that way. And yeah, that's pretty good. Alright, reasonably pleased with myself. Okay, so to reiterate, the next step that's going to happen, I say this for myself as much as I am for anybody who's watching. This fin gets painted black. All this stuff is going to be papered around so there's nothing on it. Same deal with these fins. After this is black, everything below the sharp lines tape is going to get papered off. This is going to get painted orange. This is going to get painted orange. This part up here, and I'm probably just going to take that off too. That'll be the first 2 phases of the painting. So we'll see how that goes. Thanks for watching, and I will see you later.